sharp. I mean, last week you had your bling bling shirt and your, stunners on and all. Today you have your what? N95 mask
N95
and
mask
goggles.
and goggles. COVID goggles.
COVID goggles.
COVID goggles. Kwame,
How are you?
things are getting.
It's getting scary, huh?
It's getting scary.
Oh my goodness.
The numbers are going up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the COVID-19 hygiene protocols to being pushed to one side.
Yeah.
And if things don't change, we're going to have a terrible situation on our hands. And,
Right.
We don't want that to happen, those of us in the healthcare sector. So I hope today we're going to have a very enlightening conversation about COVID.
Good stuff. Over the weekend, I actually heard you on Home Affairs with Adam Naite talking about COVID as the schools are reopening. And around that time, I'm sure you weren't sure of what was going to happen when schools reopen or how it's going to look like. Monday, schools reopened.
Yep.
You heard reports, you saw videos, you saw pictures, and schools have reopened. So today, we're going to talk about schools, COVID. Numbers are going up. Obviously, government is not going to resent the decision to open schools.
Right.
So we've got to live with it some way, somehow. Some people have decided not to take their children to school anytime soon. But a lot of people have sent their children to school, and they're expecting that, protocols will be adhered to and whatnot. So today, we'll look at COVID in schools, and I'm sure you've got a few things that you'd want to share with us.
Absolutely. And good afternoon to all our listeners. It's good to be here again.
And before you actually go on, let me remind people that you can send in any questions related to the topic via WhatsApp. A bit later, we'll activate the phone lines, okay? 055 if you have any questions regarding COVID in general, you might want to send it through and then the doctor would speak to it.
Right. So, Kwame, once again, good afternoon to you and then all our listeners. Kwame, before we go, I get into all the details. Let me just give a background, a brief history of COVID, where it started from, and how it has moved on since then. So, 31st December 2019, the WHO, World Health Organization's country office in the People's Republic of China, picked up a media statement by the Wuhan Municipal Health Commission from their website on cases of viral pneumonia in Wuhan, in China. A few days later, it was determined to be a new form of coronavirus. Coronavirus has been around, or the coronaviruses have been around for quite some time. We all heard about SARS. Some people heard about MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, and then H1N5 as well. These are all different types of coronaviruses. This is, I think, number 7 or so. On 30th January 2020, last year, WHO declared the novel coronavirus outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. And this is the WHO's highest level of alarm. On the 11th of March 2020, WHO declared COVID-19 as a pandemic. It had reached global proportions. In a press release dated 12 March 2020, the Ministry of Health of the Government of Ghana informed the nation of the first 2 individuals diagnosed with the disease. And so that is how finally it started in this country. COVID-19 is a respiratory illness transmitted via infected aerosols. It's important we are reminded about this time and again, because all the things that we are going to ask people to do and not to do stems from an understanding of how the disease is spread. So it is transmitted via infected aerosols. If you've used a spray can before, whether as a deodorant or as an insecticide spray, then you know what an aerosol is. So as I'm speaking right now, if I wasn't wearing the mask and you could magnify the area around or the air around or 1 meter from my mouth, you would notice very small tiny droplets coming out. And these are aerosols. The portals of entry of the virus are the eyes, the mouth, and the nostrils. The eyes, the mouth, and the nostrils. Time and again, people tend to forget about these portals of entry. We made a lot of publicity about this in the beginning, but we dropped it off. So, for example, the eyes are not usually protected when we are talking about the PPEs. We tend not to focus so much on the eyes. But the portals of entry, I repeat again, the eyes, the mouth, and the nostrils. Before the 31st of December 2019, a little over a year ago, the medical and scientific community did not know of the existence of this particular virus, which we call the SARS-CoV-2. We didn't know about it. So it's novel. It's new. We don't really have a full understanding of it. And again, I want to stress this particular point because there are so many stories about what to do and how the disease works and doesn't work. This is a new virus and we are still learning a lot about it. Although the nature of the illness produced by this virus is continuously evolving, the following symptoms have been firmly established. The cough, fever, runny nose, sore throat, loss of smell, which is very, very dramatic. I've had people call me to say, "Oh, doctor, I woke up this morning, I went to the loo and I couldn't smell my poop." And that's when I got to know that something was wrong. I'm taking a shower and then I can't smell the soap. So the loss of smell, difficulty in breathing, tiredness, body aches, headaches, and what most people know as Apollo, conjunctivitis, reddening of the eye, and then even sometimes bouts of diarrhea. So Kwame, these are some of the more common symptoms that we know of COVID-19, the disease, so far. It can produce a mild, severe, or critical illness, but sometimes it can also be asymptomatic, that is without symptoms. So people can have the virus, they can shed the virus, and they don't have any of these symptoms. So sometimes people have a false sense of safety where they say, "Oh, my temperature was checked and it was normal." And then we tend to assume that there's no, or the individual is not carrying COVID. We have the asymptomatic category as well. So the disease or the virus can produce COVID-19, which is the name of the disease, and you can have mild symptoms, severe symptoms, or you can have a critical illness, as we have seen in the ICUs on our television. Right. So let me say a few things about COVID-19 and then children and then the schools. Once you open the schools, a lot of people are concerned about whether children are going to get infected. The question is, or initially we're like, "Oh, this thing doesn't affect children." Well, the data exists now, right here in this country, that it does affect children. But then we're looking at the numbers. Disproportionately, it affects adults. So yes, there are listed cases of children, even some dying. There are risk mitigation strategies that are employed in all pandemics. Infectious diseases such as this, we have what we call the risk mitigation strategies. We're not going to be able to eliminate risk completely in any pandemic. So I've heard comments about, "Oh, it's not safe, COVID is still out there." Well, I think COVID is going to be out there for a long, long time. It's going to be out there. And we don't know whether we're going to get effective treatment anytime soon, but now there's a vaccine. But our poor, middle-income countries, low-income countries going to get access to enough of the vaccines, and how soon, we don't know about that. So we're not even going to focus on that. Let us look at the risk mitigation strategies, and Kwame, they are fourfold. The first one is physical distancing, or what they call social distancing. I prefer physical distancing because that is more easy to explain. Then we've got the hand washing or hand sanitizing with an alcohol-based rub. Then we've got the use of the face mask, and then the use of cohorts. So cohorts meaning you split people or individuals, you put them into groups. And that's what in the sports, professional sports arena, they're referring to as the bubble. So they're keeping people in a bubble so that they don't interact. So in the workplace, you can have cohorts. In schools, so far as it works, you can have cohorts. So that when there is an exposure to one person, you don't have to close down the whole institution. In the healthcare sector, we've had to sometimes do this because otherwise then you close the whole thing down because one nurse or one doctor has been exposed. So If we look at our school situation, we're going to apply these 4 risk mitigation strategies in all aspects of the school. School settings are very different. So what I'm going to talk about will not fit every single school. So Kwame, let's start about the schools and what they can do. Some schools have bus rides. So the schools will organize buses to pick up children from homes and also return them to their various homes after school. What can you do? Well, all parents must ensure that any child with a cough, fever, runny nose, sore throat, or any of the symptoms of COVID-19 stays at home and not join the bus. So the responsibility starts with the parents. If your child has any of these symptoms, don't push the child out because you also want to go to work. So that's where it starts. Temperature should be checked for every child or adult who is boarding the bus. The bus also needs to be wiped down. I'm not going to go as far as to say they should disinfect it. That's too expensive and possibly impossible to do that on a daily basis. But if you have a chlorine bleach or an alcohol-based solution, you can wipe it down, the handles where people hold on to climb onto the bus and then also to sit down. Wipe those surfaces before the bus moves in the morning. Anyone with a temperature above 38 degrees Celsius will not be allowed onto the bus. Those with normal temperature readings will be directed to wear their face mask properly and use the alcohol-based sanitizer before they are allowed onto the bus. Once on the bus, the children should be strictly supervised to ensure they keep to their seats, avoid shouting, screaming, or loud laughter. This is the time we can encourage them to read something on the bus. So Kwame, that's for the bus rides. Number 2, congregation of students. Some students will get to the schools earlier because their parents are on their way to work. School is not yet open, so they want to drop them off and then move away. We'll strongly encourage schools to make sure that there are designated areas for such drop-offs. And then these areas should be populated with seats so that the children are made to sit. There also should be an adult who supervises all these individuals, these children. Otherwise, they will be running around and interacting with each other, hugging, playing, shouting, and screaming. Morning assemblies. Strongly recommend that these things should be discontinued. I mean, what's the purpose of the morning assembly? Most of the time is to communicate information, for the entire school. They can find other means of disseminating this information. It should be class by class. So we strongly recommend that morning assembly should be suspended. Now, classroom management. This is where there will be difficulties. I have seen public school class sizes and even some private school class sizes, 70, 80 students in a class. So class size, we talk about the size in terms of the numbers and then the physical space. If you have a smaller class size, say 20 children, and the classroom is physically big enough, then you can adequately space them out. A distance of 1 meter or 1.5 meters between the desk is what is recommended. And then the children will keep to their seats. If you have such difficulties in terms of the infrastructure, well, we're going back to the old way of doing things, school under trees. I mean, I know a school at my our heritage school, they've got trees on the compound, pavemented compound, so you can have classes under these trees. So we are going back to the school under trees phenomenon, which is where we're moving away from. Wow. So the verandas or classrooms can also be converted and then it can be used. You want to space them out. So the physical distancing can actually be done and you don't need to restrict yourself to the classroom for academic instruction. Lunch and snack breaks. Sometimes there's one logo line. They are going for their food. One logo line. We're going to abolish that. If possible, the school should pre-pack the food and distribute it to children in their classrooms for them to have lunch seated. Or there should be designated areas on the compound where class by class they go for their lunch and sit and eat their meals. All these things will require a great deal of supervision. Teachers and then non-teaching staff, adult staff who understand what is to be achieved to supervise the implementation of these things, but it is doable. I would strongly recommend that children bring their own crockery to school. For example, the plates or packed food can also be served from the school, and then the children would use their crockery, to eat the food that is served. Lunch break should be spread out. We all don't need to have lunch at the same time. So these are all some of the innovative ways by which schools can begin to implement the three main strategies or the four main risk mitigation strategies.
Okay.
Lastly, I'll talk about the co-curricular activities. I know there's a school where swimming is part of the co-curricular activity, playing of instruments, music, and so on and so forth. Schools have to look at all of these things. All those activities that require physical closeness or shouting or screaming, drama club, for example. So they are acting out plays. They have to take a second look at them. Some of them need to be discontinued totally. If there's a swimming club, for example, you need to stop totally and find something else as co-curricular activity that doesn't require for physical closeness or the non-use of the mask. Let me touch on the use of the face mask, because that's a very controversial and a very controversial topic. Children using masks vary, different ages. Children under 6 years, it's going to be very difficult for them to keep the mask on. Mm-hmm. I've heard so many adults complain about the mask being on for 6 hours. Even if they put it on for 30 minutes, they are complaining. Mm-hmm. My thoughts are that if you have a classroom big enough and you are spacing out adequately 1.5 meters to 2 meter distances, and you are supervising these children right, that they are not running around, then children under 6 years don't need to be in a mask. If you look at the data, transmission of this virus between children or amongst children is very low. The data is still up in the air. We still can't conclude, but the data as we have right now, the transmission rate is very, very low. So if you can put in place all these other risk mitigation strategies, then there's no need to strap the mask on for long periods of time, because it may have some breathing challenges. There's a proper use of the mask as well. There are different types of masks. So are you going to use the fabric-based mask, or are you going to use the commercial ones, like what I am wearing? You have to learn to handle them properly. And most schools can go online and find out how to properly handle the mask.
Okay.
So Kwame, these are some of the
it's interesting you mentioned this, because Nines Fintech sent a message and says, can we please clarify on the preschool KG reception students? Apparently children aged 5 years and under should not be required to wear masks.
Absolutely.
And that's according to the World Health Organization. And she sent a link to probably the article that we can look at. And she says, I guess it's understandable because they will end up not using the masks well. But it seems as if every child is required to wear masks. I personally was prepared to give my 4-year-old a mask to wear, but then her school told me that they don't recommend it. So which is it?
Yeah, so that's exactly, I share my sentiments. I said children under 6 years. That will put them in the KG preschool, group. But you're not just going to say they shouldn't wear the mask, so you leave everything.
Yeah.
The other risk mitigation strategies must be enforced.
Let me activate the phone lines and WhatsApp as well. You can WhatsApp us on 055-111-997. Anything COVID related, the doctor would speak to it. Please, Lexis, I'm worried about... let me get that. I'm worried about the Okada passengers. Seriously, driving home this evening, I saw a passenger and driver rider, that's what you mean, but without mask, and passenger holding on to the bike rider. Please, where's the social distance in the 9 Spintex Road? Oti is also here. Hello, Oti.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Welcome.
And good afternoon, Dr. Osafo. I want to know, Doctor, if about COVID, this case, can't we have some medicine that boost their system for them? If anything, like medicine they can take, can boost their system.
Medicine that can boost their immune system. The children, you mean?
The children, yeah. Because parents are get worried if they can have something to boost their system for them. Because they can't stay at home just like that. If the COVID will stay for long, are they going to stay at home for 2 years? We don't know that this COVID will just flash away. You see, so if they can medicine, the children can boost their system. I think That would be okay for us.
Okay, Oti, thank you.
Right. So yes, in terms of the theory, it's very nice. We all want the immune system to be strengthened to mount a better fight or response against COVID-19. Unfortunately, when it comes to the way the immune system works and develops, then the extremes of age, children, infants and children, and then the elderly, they are at risk. For children and infants, the immune system needs a bit of experience to develop, and it is not properly developed just because of age. For the elderly, then the immune system is too old, it is weakened, and therefore not also very, very effective.
Okay.
So more fruits and vegetables for the children. You can supplement with vitamin C, but I always prefer, you giving them fruits.
Yeah.
Citrus fruits, for example,
Okay.
to as a source of their vitamin C. But it's a tough ask.
Jay. Yeah, Jay, you're welcome. Yes, go ahead.
I want to know, aside from all the vitamin D and the stuff, the kids, can you give them the lemon hot water and that is being prescribed for adults? And then also the branded face mask, and how long can they wait? Is it possible for them to cool down and then put it back, or they should have to wear it all the duration during school time?
Okay.
Right. So I think the first question has to do with the vitamin C and whether or not you can give a lemon cough syrup or
Lemon
again,
water, warm water, yeah.
All right. So again, I would go for the fruits option.
Okay.
Let's serve them healthy fruits. Let's serve them a lot of veggies, vegetables, and that should do it, rather than a particular syrup
Okay.
or something. Then I think the second part of the question had to do with
Whether the mask should be on
how
all
long
day,
the
yeah.
mask can be on. See, the difficulty with the mask is if you're going to take it off and on, then there's a likelihood that you would contaminate. It will not be done right. You have to take it off by the ear straps. But a lot of people adjust it by touching the mask itself. Anytime you do that, then it means immediately you have to sanitize.
Some just hold the cloth and pull it down
And
to
pull
the
it
chin.
down, exactly, and then pull it back up again.
Okay.
So there is that issue about how long it can be on. It is difficult to keep it on for a long period. If you're asthmatic, for example, you may have children with asthma, then you have to be careful about all these things. So,
Okay.
Well, start and go with the mask.
There's a question here that's rated 18, but I think I'm still going to ask it.
Okay.
Because it will benefit a lot of people
All right.
if they have this information. Because one of our listeners says, Lexis, my boyfriend has recovered from COVID-19, but it has affected his erection. Things that used to get him horny don't get him horny anymore. Does it have anything to do with hormones, erection, COVID? Is that a side effect after recovery or something of the sort?
Right. So, Kwame, we've been talking about it being a new virus, and we're still learning a lot about it. Yes, there have been a few case reports of COVID-19 and ED, and then COVID-19 and loss of libido.
ED meaning erectile dysfunction.
Erectile dysfunction.
Okay.
And then not feeling up for it anymore. So that's a loss of libido. And we believe that COVID has this influence or this effect on men.
Oh, wow.
So some of the receptors by which the virus attaches itself, we find a lot of them on particular cells in the testes of men.
Hi.
So the virus goes in there and destroys it, and then they tend to have low levels of testosterone, the male hormone. And testosterone is very important for libido.
Oh.
Not so much ED, but then libido. So the men, we have to be more concerned about getting COVID, because it looks like there is evidence. There are a few case reports that are being reported, about the effect COVID has on sexual
But
function.
it can be restored, right?
I won't give.
Don't
yes.
even try that. don't even give me that.
We haven't treated enough people to know whether or not with COVID, post-COVID. So I'm just
Then
saying, it's
please,
new.
you people should start a research. Medicals, you people have the facility. Do the research. What are you talking about? You can't be saying,
Because I think the men should be more careful and start implementing the risk mitigation strategies so that you don't get the thing. Because if you get the thing and this time it's not a ban at you too, it's COVID has disarmed you.
No, it can't disarm.
So she should get in touch. We'll try something, and then we'll see what the response would be. But the thing
Charlie,
is testosterone levels going down.
This is not trying matter, my guy.
This
This is not trying matter. We have to fix it.
We have to fix it.
Yeah.
Because we have to prevent it. How about preventing
You see, the thing you try prevent, then somebody go come cross you and then you get COVID. It's not your fault. You understand?
Okay.
But you can't go and be taking things like that. Important things like that.
Important things. Well, okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take it as our research topic, huh?
Please. This one there.
Me who's assembly help?
Challenge.
Philip too is worried. Philip too looks very worried.
Everybody here is worried.
Everybody here is worried. Yeah.
Anyway, but
Right.
thank you so much for the clarification. We're glad, and I'm sure for people who want to get in touch, they can call you.
Right.
Is there a number they can reach you on?
Yes, well, particularly for parents who are worried about the school and what you think the school can do, I think you can get in touch with us. The number is 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340. You can stop by at our Medina Firestone branch, and speak to any member of the team as well.
Dr. Yaw Osafo is CEO of Medicals Hospital, Medina Firestone, and Mampong Equiapem. Thank you so much, Doc. And we're grateful that you shared all this information with us. We'll find out the latest updating news now. Drive Chat is proudly brought to you by MTN and TCL. Ernest Kujo Menu is here. What's up, Kujo?
Hi, Kwame. Joy Headline News at 5 with me, Ernest.